Welcome to Cousin Jack Carves. Today we're going to be whittling one of these little wizards. You can see I've got a collection of 5 of them here. These are going to be part of a tic-tac-toe set that I'm making for my grandsons. Instead of X's and O's, it will be wizards versus robots. And today, like I said, we'll whittle one of these little guys. The next video that I provide will go over the robots, but that'll be next time. So we're going to start with a block of wood that is 1 inch by 1 inch by 2 inches. You can see right here, this is longer than 2 inches. That's because I want to have something to hold on to. This is actually a 4-inch block, and I've marked the 2-inch line right here. And to get you set up, the first thing you're going to want to do is to find your center and then your halfway point across. So you're going to have center lines coming down each side of the 2-inch block, just like this. Now, if you need to pause the video and make your center lines, that's not a problem. Go right ahead. And then just come on back. All right, so once you have your center lines, first thing you're going to do is come onto the front of your block where you're going to have the face. You're going to make 3 marks along the center line. First line is going to be here, 1/4 inch up from the bottom. That's about 6 millimeters, right? Make a mark here. That's going to be, for reference, that's the bottom of the beard. Next, you'll come up 1 inch from the bottom here, about 25 millimeters. And make a mark on that center line. That's a reference for the bottom of the nose. And then another 1/4 inch up from there, 6 millimeters. Make another mark here. That will be the bottom of the hat. So bottom of the nose, bottom of the hat. Now what we'll do is just pencil in that nose. On these wizards, I used sort of an inverted shape, a nose that's actually broader at the top and more narrow at the bottom. And you want to draw these larger than what your nose will actually wind up being. Believe me, you'll thank yourself that you did. So there you go. Now, in between this line we made here and the line we made for the bottom of the nose, about halfway between those 2 marks, just come on over to the side, on each side, and make a mark. And what we're going to do is go from the top of the nose, which we called the bottom of the hat. We're just going to slope that line across to both sides here. It's just to give a little slope to the hat, like that. And we know the bottom of the beard will be down here. We'll get to that in a little bit. Now, also, we're going to come onto the back of the carving. So we did the front, now we're going to the back side. We're going to make 2 marks here. So we'll come up from the bottom, 3/4 inch, make a mark. It's roughly 18 mils. And then, again, come up from the bottom, 1 inch, make a mark. So these reference lines, this is the bottom of the hat on the back of his head, and this is going to be the hairline right here. Okay? Pretty simple. So now that we've got the bottom of the hat here on the back, and we know where that hat connects here on the front, we're just going to draw a gentle slope that goes from the front towards the back and kind of angles downward like that. We'll do that on both sides, of course. Let's make our mark about there. And there you go. Now for the hair. We know the hairline is right about there. So all you're going to do on the sides is come down about 1/8 inch from that hat line that we just drew in, about 1/8 inch, and slope that back to connect the back of the hair. And then with the beard, I can tell you that's it's going to be a work in progress, but that beard is going to come off of here. First, let's just make a slope on the front for that beard, okay? Just kind of roughing the shape in here. It'll be like that. So again, on this side, come down from that hat about 1/8 of an inch. Connect the hair and a line for the beard. Pretty simple. Next, we need a knife and a glove. All right, so I have my knife all tuned up and ready to go. It's sharp, it's been stropped. And the glove is ready too. So first thing I'll do is kind of put myself in a boundary here, since this piece of wood is larger than 2 inches. I just want to set a boundary at the bottom. Just come on in here and give myself a mark. Put a little pressure, slice up to it. I'll do this on every one of the corners. Like this. Now, I do have to apologize in advance if I get out of the frame or the end product on this video is not what you're accustomed to. Just putting some pressure on here to make a stop cut, right? On the side. And then slice up to it. Anyway, I was apologizing. So, I'm kind of on my own today. Sunny is over in the UK visiting our daughter, our youngest daughter, Shelby, and her fiance, Ryan. Sunny is going to enjoy her Mother's Day with Shelby and Ryan. All right, so continuing the same process, kind of just setting that border along the bottom so we don't lose our way. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do next is just kind of do the same thing with that line that we have for the hat, just to kind of establish a border for the hat. So I'll come up here to the corner, kind of make a mark, and just slice up to it. Don't worry about cutting into that beard. We're going to be removing plenty of wood on that beard, and we don't need these corners. Our effort today is roundness, okay? And that's, as a beginner, if you are a beginner, it's one of the things that beginners tend to struggle with, is getting the block to look round. And so we'll have a focus on that today, all right? So on the front of the hat, where the hat meets the nose, we have this corner. I'm just going to put the tip of my knife right in there, put some pressure on it, and I'll come at it from this direction along this line, put the tip of the knife in there, nice and deep. Now I'm going to take my knife and just slice up into that corner to get some depth there, okay? Again, this is going to help us establish the nose and also help us establish that stop cut for the bottom of the hat. Doing the same thing over here on this side, upside down. There you go. Okay, good deal. So now we'll come on to the side. Going to make a stop cut along that line that we do there with our pencil. Just going to put the blade on there and just rock it back and forth a little bit. And then slice right up to it. Don't worry about the lines we drew for the hair and such. We're going to redraw those lines. It's not a problem. We'll come on to the back. Again, make a stop cut for the bottom of the hat. And give a slice. And then one more time over here on this side. Okay, I'm going to adjust my camera angle just a little bit here. All right, let's go ahead and knock off the corners on this hat, because we can. And we don't need them. And it's no fun to hold on to a piece of wood with sharp corners on it at all. And the same is true for the bottom, but we want to maybe not take off as much when we get down here to the bottom. Just knock off the corner a little bit here. Good deal. All right. So the next thing we'll do is start kind of shaping this hat. Now, one of the things you can do is just take a small coin and put it in the center and draw that circle around the coin if you want to give you a reference, probably like an American dime, let's say. In this particular case, we're going to create an illusion by flipping that hat over to one side. So you can see on this little guy, that hat doesn't go up a great deal of distance. But by adding that little flip, like we have here, it gives an illusion that this hat is actually longer than what it really is. Okay? So we'll be doing that. All right. Now, the easiest way to get this hat shaped, I like to use, sorry about that, I like to use a paring cut quite a lot. That paring cut is pretty straightforward. We're going to take our thumb, kind of put it out of the way, bring that knife like this, paring cut, using the hand, just closing that hand like this. And again, we're looking for some roundness here. So yeah, Sunny's over in the UK, and she sent me some pictures and everything. And I know some of the viewers who've watched my videos and Sunny's videos are living in the UK, and it's been great kind of building those relationships with folks in different parts of the world. And I really enjoy your support. Let me just say that before I get on to the next thing, because I have a rant. What's the deal with pudding? You know, here in the States, pudding is a very specific kind of a dessert, right? You have your chocolate pudding, banana pudding, vanilla. But somehow, in the UK, everything is pudding. Sunny went to a place today to eat, and she sent me pictures of the menu, and it was pudding this, pudding that. And there were even pudding wines. I can tell you that pudding and wine don't belong in the same sentence. I can't imagine. So I have a feeling that what my friends in the UK think of as pudding is like what we would think about as dessert. But like I said, here in the States, pudding is a specific type of a dessert. Just checking my reference here. You can see where the center is, and I'm pulling things over this direction. We're going to have that hat flipping over on this side, so I'm saving more material over here, okay? So anyway, yeah, pudding. I'm just kidding. But yeah, pudding is, I don't know, if what do you call dessert? We have dessert wines, but we don't have pudding wines. But if everything is pudding, then what is dessert? I don't get it. All right, so kind of before I go any further on this side, I'm going to go ahead and make my mark. So from this top, along this side, come down about maybe a ½ inch. Just make a stop cut right there, okay? Like that. And slice up to it. And then along the front, just kind of give it an angle like this. And remove that little piece. Come on to the back side. Same thing, give it a little angle. And what this will do is kind of give us a bookmark, so we don't go all wild and then slice off all the material we need to make that thing. Okay? We still have some work to do. All right, so we don't want a flat top on this guy's head for his hat. We're going to keep on working on this side. I'm just going to come along that top like before. A little bit of a paring cut, angling this now to the other way towards the center. One of the other things about the UK, cookies are not cookies, they're biscuits. And you know, it's interesting because we know America's favorite cookie is the Oreo. And every Oreo loving person knows they are made by Nabisco. And Nabisco is derived from the name of the company, which is the National Biscuit Company. Those Oreos are biscuits. But again, I'm confused about what the difference is in the UK between a cookie that they call a biscuit versus a cookie that they call a cookie. Because over here, they're all cookies. Even the ones made by the National Biscuit Company. All right, let's just finish working through this end grain. So here at the top, just gonna pull that blade along and round that along that side and along the front a little more. Give this wizard a little shape. Now, of course, the UK also have a different word for fries, right? So if you were going to order something with chips over in the UK, that would be fries. And no, I've never been to the UK. I'm looking forward to having an opportunity to visit. And like I said earlier, I've made some really good acquaintances, carving friends who live in the UK. And I do appreciate their support and their encouragement. All right, so we're just about done shaping this hat. Just gonna knock off a little more of this end grain and just come on in here, make that a little bit deeper, and clean up this side. Yeah. All right, so we'll be shaping the bottom of the hat as we go. More to come there. All right, so let's move over to the back side and put in a stop cut for that hairline. Right like that. Okay. Now we know we have that hairline connecting just like this. Just redrawing that line here. And we still have a line on this side, so we're good. So we'll continue to put in a line for the hair. Take a little more off the corners. Now, on the sides, we have another opportunity to make a little triangle cut where the hair from the back of the head meets the beard. Just going to come along here to that center line, put the tip of the knife in there, give it some pressure, like that. And then again, come at it from this angle, following that line for the beard, putting some pressure on there, and then slicing up into that corner like that. And then finishing up the stop cut for the hair. There we go. And while we're here, we might as well kind of leave a little stop cut there for the beard. Go on to the other side. We'll do the same thing. Again, tip of the knife, a little bit of pressure. Come at it from this angle, same thing. A little bit of pressure there. And then relieve that by slicing up into the corner, just like that. Okay? Put in that line for the beard. And finish the line for the hair. Like that. And since we're putting in these lines, we might as well go ahead and kind of rough in a little shape for the beard. So I'm just putting in a stop cut on the front here. And over here on this side. So yeah, these little wizards, I wanted to make them, and I did design them, and the robots as well. I designed them to have pretty sturdy parts to them. I didn't want to have, for example, a hat brim that would be in danger of breaking off, or a nose that would be in danger of breaking off, because this is really intended to be a toy to be used by my grandsons. And with that, I wanted them to be able to kind of have fun with them. Sometimes they're very young children. They have a tendency to throw things, as boys will do. All right, so we've got a pretty good sort of an outline here. What we'll do next is continue rounding this beard, all right? So we'll just come on up here and knock off the corner. Don't be afraid. There's plenty of material. Just knock some of that off there. We want to get this to be rounded, right? And the way to do that is to get rid of these corners. Bring that beard back. Continuing to bring it back further, just like this. Yeah. Now while we're here, and before I do anything foolish, I'm going to put in a stop cut for the bottom of his nose. Don't want to remove that. There we go. One of the other things that beginners struggle with is making cuts that are kind of deep enough, I'll say. So in addition to focusing on the roundness of the piece here, I want you to focus on really getting some depth. Because we can't have a nose that sticks out unless we remove material around that. We can't have a beard that sticks out unless we remove the material then around it as well. So I want you to think about getting some depth as you work your way around this piece. Okay, so at this point I'm going to work on tucking in this hair underneath that hat, and to do that I'm just kind of angling towards that stop cut with my blade. Just slicing and angling, separating that hair from the bottom of the hat. We'll do that kind of all the way around here. Again, getting some depth. That's what we need. And then continuing with that rounding on that beard. All right. So on these sides, we still have large flat areas along the back and on the sides here, even on the front. So we're going to do some work to round those as well. So on these corners, we'll work our way up. And then get into that side. Now what we do want is a shape that's broader at the bottom and becomes more narrow as it goes up. Okay? So we'll focus on removing more material as it moves up the body. I did, as I mentioned earlier, design these to be game pieces. So I wanted them to be broader at the bottom, be more stable that way. Same with the robots. Okay, we'll continue doing this on the back. Again, get the corners round it some more. And same here on this side. Just kind of work those corners, get into the center here. And what you'll find is as you continue to remove this material, of course, you're getting more separation between the hat, the hair, and the wizard's robe, I guess we'll call it, the rest of his body. And we'll come on over here to the front and do some more work here. Get the corners. And then come on into the center. Okay. All right. Just adjusting again. I'm sorry if I'm getting out of the frame. Like I said, I'm sort of trying to go solo, and it's not easy. I appreciate Sunny. She does a really good job of keeping me in line. Just going to clean up some cuts here next to that nose. Just like that. So as I mentioned, this is sort of an inverted nose. Broader at the top and more narrow at the bottom, unlike a human nose. This is a style that's used by John Overby on his carvings. And if you haven't seen any of John's carvings, I encourage you to take a look. You can find John on Facebook. You can also look for him at Dry Creek Carvings. He's a great carver and very generous with his time and willingness to help people. Now, we've gotten quite a bit of depth here on the front between that hat and the beard. That's looking pretty good. We'll actually be bringing that down a little bit, this hat, especially on these corners, right? We want to continue rounding that. So at this point, though, I want to sort of shape that nose. Now you can see we still have our center line here. All I'm going to do is kind of angle my knife so higher up at the center line and lower at the outside here. Just come along the edge like this, like that. I'll do the same thing on the other side, but it'll be upside down. Just kind of an angle with a slice like that. And now I want to remove that pencil mark just because it can be a little confusing when you start seeing pencil marks. Now a little bit more shaping. Like so. And I'll come down here to the tip of his nose and just angle my knife downward a little bit and make a slice like that. Now with the hat, I'm going to bring these corners back some. Again, this will help us with the rounding. All right. Now, one of the things that's helpful to do as you go through your carvings is to just check your depth and make sure it's symmetrical on each side. So, for example, when you're carving the separation here between the hat and the hair, check and see, well, how much depth do I have on this side? Is it same or similar on the back? And what about this side? Well, I can see already that this side doesn't have much separation. I've kind of lost some of that separation on this side. So I'm going to go back onto my stop cut again, like this, and get in here and angle towards it. Build some more separation so that it's the same kind of depth that I have on the other side. Now, it doesn't take much to kind of spend some time looking at these things, but if you're kind of new at carving, sometimes you might just overlook some of the fine details to make sure that you have symmetry. Now, granted, if you're carving a character, or a caricature, I should say, symmetry isn't always a requirement. Just kind of continuing my way around here, separating that hair again from the bottom of the hat. I'm knocking the corners off the hair too. No one wants square hair. Yeah. Okay, so one of the things that we can do to help stabilize this hat, in terms of like the brim, right, is to bevel it downward. So if I come onto this edge and slice downward like this, it's going to help set the edge of the hat in a way that it's not likely it will break off. Okay? Again, this is intended for young boys to use as a toy, so we don't want things that are going to break off. You can use the same approach with, other carvings as well. If you're looking to stabilize the brim of a hat and you give it a bevel downward like this, yeah, it's unlikely that it's going to break on you. Now be careful when you get around the nose. Just come across the top of it there. And clean that up. All right. So I'm happy with that. Now let's go ahead and get some shape into that hair. And now he's looking like he's got a little COVID haircut going on here. And we'll fix that. So you can see here, for example, on this beard and where the hair is, we made a lot of cuts, and there's a lot of sort of roughed up, uneven garbage. It's not a clean edge. So just take your knife and slice right through it. You can clean it up quickly. Doesn't take much. And we'll just come back here on the back side, do the same thing. Just cleaning that up a little bit. And again, I kind of knock these corners off because I don't want breakable hair. Get a little pencil mark going there. All right, we'll do the same thing on this beard. Again, bringing it back, knocking off the corner. Looking for symmetry as well. Okay, so if we look at our beard from the front, how are we looking? Not bad. So we still have a little flat area here on the front, and we can get a little more depth going on right here at the tip as well. One of the things you can do to kind of give a little texture to that beard is to take that knife and sort of scoop and slice. Scoop and slice. So twist that blade, turn it like that. Same thing here. You see it wants to chip out a little bit there. Here we go. And of course we want to get rid of our pencil marks here. And just go along and round out the carving a little more wherever you think you need to get that roundness. And before you know it, you have got yourself a little wizard. It's fun, it's quick, simple and easy, and pretty satisfying. And you can carve a whole mess of them. Like I did. I made 5. This will be number 6. So let me talk you through the process of kind of finishing off the detail on this little guy. All right. And there are different approaches that you could use. So with this beard, for example, you could get in there with a gouge, a V-tool. You could use your knife. Lots of different ways you could put in some more texture into the beard if you wanted to add some more shape and so on to the beard and the hair and everything else, right? Or you could use sort of a minimalist approach and kind of leave that look that it has right there. Nothing wrong with that. Some people really enjoy that sort of an approach. Now, what I did, just to kind of help you get from here to here, I used a wood burner and came in here and put in these lines with a wood burner. That's all I did, right? And of course, with that wood burner, I did go along and make dark lines around the edges to separate the beard and the hair from the robe. Same with the hat. You know, you just kind of outline everything with the wood burner. And of course, now with the stars, what I did there is I asked Sunny, I said, well, do you have a little star-shaped hole punch? And she said, yeah, I do. she has all kinds of good stuff. So took the hole punch and punched a piece of cardstock with it. And basically traced that shape with a pencil. And then went along that pencil mark with the wood burner to put in the border for the star. And then, of course, painted it. She also had a shape that looked like a crescent moon as well. So put that in. So there you go, folks. A little bit of a wizard. I hope you enjoy this video. Thank you again. I appreciate if you would just take a minute right down below this video. There's a little thumbs up. If you would just hit the like button on there for me. I certainly appreciate that. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Maybe you just want to say hi. And I appreciate that too. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.